Good evening, ladies. Good evening, gentlemen, and good evening, children of all ages. It is finally time. It has been a long, quiet winter, but we are back. Season 8 of CRL kicks off tonight. And you join myself, CRL Freefall, or Scotty, as your regular Tier 4 commentator for the coming season in Season 8. But do not fear, I am not alone. For this season, I am joined by an absolute legend of a driver, a legend of a commentator. If you tuned in for Season 7, around about Bahrain, you would have heard him join up with last season's co-commentator, Mr. Liam Carragh. But he is back for the full season. It is the one and only QRT Leroy. Lee, how are you doing tonight? I am absolutely buzzing for this season to kick off.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for the introduction, Scott. Very excited. First time commentating on a full season, Tier 4. I've spoken to a few of the guys who are very excited. I'm very excited myself. Excited to see what's going to happen. Excited to see who's going to cause some fireworks, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, just again, as I've said already, very excited for the season because who knows what to expect? It's Tier 4, and that's the great thing about Tier 4 is no one knows what to expect.
Absolutely. Tier 4 is, I think rotation describes it best. It is the humblest tier, but it is such an exciting tier to watch. A lot of the drivers here, of course, have raced in Cone for a number of seasons. There is 2 debutants on the grid, the 2 Welshmen, in fact, of DS Baker and Scooter Klein, but the rest of these 18 drivers have all been here before. They're in Tier 4, some of them are a little bit less experienced, some of them have had some time off the game, and some of them are changing assists. This tier is all about learning, and with that, this season just evolves race upon race, and everything can change. Of course, a 16-round season this time around. We don't have a pre-season race. You notice we're straight in at round number 1 this time. However, we're rewarding that little bit of less racing with an extra official race. So 16 rounds, making it the longest in CRL history, with the biggest sign-up in CRL history, and in my eyes, the quickest grids in CRL history. So it is set to be an amazing one, and I'm glad to be able to sit in beside not just a great commentator, a great Tier 1 driver, but a good little friend of mine in you, Lee. I'm currently on board with Spider Rob 95. Mr. Rob has been about in a few parties this week, setting down the times in a short quality. A 24.9 for the first opening sector. Now, your Tier 1 guys are looking at a 24.3. I myself average about a 4 or a 5, so he's a little bit off the pace of the top 2, but this is Div 4, of course, so we'll see how that relates in correlation. I do know, though, this man has been setting 33.8s, 33.7s throughout the week. But Lee, 18 minutes on the clock, that's when the pressure sets in. Can these guys hit their targets?
Yeah, exactly. First race of the season, you want to put a marker down, stamp your ground for the rest of the season, really, but sometimes, who knows, pressure can get to you, and especially for some of the more inexperienced guys, I reckon that could be a factor to play. But just go at that for the first round of the season. I know everyone wants to offer the best start, but it's a long season ahead, as you said, 16 races, the longest in Cone history, so even if you don't win or do the best you can in the first race, just try and be consistent at the end of the day. That's the best way to look at it. So yeah, as Rob comes to the final corner, first lap of the session will be a 134.4. That is a good banker to start off.
It's a very, very solid banker. In fact, looking at the Tier 3 qualifying, that would have had him somewhere in about the mid-pack. So for a banker lap, that is pretty good going. I'm going to jump on board then with a man that needs no introduction. It is, of course, CRL Murphy, as his co-admin in the form of Digweed crosses to put his first lap in a 34.7. Murphy, of course, our returning Tier 4 admin. Once again, he's had 1 season in Tier 3, and I think every other season has been in this tier. It is pretty much this man's home in CRL, and he is the man that definitely runs the show on race days. His pace has been looking pretty good from what I've seen so far, knocking in the 33 mids, the 5s, the 6s, the 7s. We've seen a 32.8 in Tier 3. That is a solid lap time for pole. Of course, this is a tier down, a little bit lower. We're not expecting that kind of pace as Mark Wilson goes for a 34.2. But a mid to high 33 is definitely on the cards. What can Murphy do with his lap? He can do a 35.4, but he's followed very closely by SUFC, the first into the 33s with a 33.9 lead. SUFC up near the top of the pops when it came to the final standings last season. And a man beating him that, once again, Deluxy, he has raced in tier 2, so we know he's got some pedigree.
Yeah, 33.7 is a very good start off. I mean, we're expecting mid to low 33s, I think, as the pole time. But yeah, very good banker as Marshall now ran in the final corner in the Ferrari. You see it flex nicely there. Going up to the line, it will be a 134.0, which puts him P3.
Professional P3 for the Ferrari. Of course, he's joined this season by Topher. Man that needs no introduction. He's found some fame on
sorry
TikTok.
to interrupt you, Scott, but Tom on Tip Top, he's going around the long right-hander and he's hit the wall. And he's out of the pole session. That's not a great way to start off the season for Tomo.
A little bit of a strange place for it. He's lost it quite early in the corner. Normally, you're ended up onto the right-hand side, as we can see from Victor Mean's perspective. So, an early bath for the Alfa Romeo. A 34.6 is going to be the best he can achieve. Currently has him provisional P7, but with a number of drivers still to put a time, you could expect that to fall down, particularly with just under 12 minutes left in the session. AFL then, we're on board as he comes through the double left-hander of turns 9 and then 10. AFL, of course, a couple of seasons ago, losing out on this tier 4 title to Hedgehog 11 by, I think it was either 8 or 10 points. So he knows how to fight a battle. A little bit of an off season last season, but one to watch out for. He could definitely be up in the mix. And by the looks of things, it could be in with Deluxy, SUFC, IR Marshall and Mark Wilson. They're all putting in their early bankers up the top. But that's the beauty, Lee. First race. It is a little bit tricky sometimes from a commentator's perspective because we're trying to write who should we watch, who should we look an eye on, who's going to give us a good lap to go around. I've got absolutely no idea who the title contenders are as AFL goes a little bit deep into the hairpin and loses quite a bit of time on the exit of 14. Technically, another corner there on the exit of that hairpin, 15 before the final left-hander of 16. Up to the line, he bests his teammate, but it's P10 for AFL.
Yep, 35.1 there for him, as I don't believe anyone's along up at the moment. So, let's talk strategies for the race now. So, I'm predicting that the drivers will start on the medium or hard tyres, but if you want to start on the softs, your optimum pit lap would be lap 5 or 6. But softs start dying around lap 3 because of the nature of this track with another sector. Mediums, you're one pit from anywhere from lap 12 to lap 15, but they start to drop off at about lap 10, again due to overheating. And the hard tyres, you want to pit around lap 16 to about 19 if you want to get the best set of strategy, and they don't really drop off at all. So yeah, but I reckon we'll see a good mixed strategy in there, because that's what China offers. China, you can go for like starting the softs, and there's a good range of strategy around here.
Yeah, there's plenty of options for the drivers to pick from. Generally speaking, this game, the quickest strategy is, of course, the hard to the medium. You get the hard, they're pre-warmed. Yes, you've got heavy fuel, it can be a little bit tricky. And then you get the pace of the mediums once the car's shed its fuel weight. You're up and warmed up to the track, and you can really start to put the lap times in. However, that does not consider factors such as rain, such as VSCs, such as full safety cars. So there could be a little bit of a dynamic switched in there. And typically tier 4, like you say, there's a little bit less inexperience, there's a little bit less, maybe not knowledge, maybe just a little bit less. We'll try something different, or a little bit more try something different, I should say, anyway. So we could see a good mix from some of our drivers tonight. And yeah, typically speaking, I think we could see all 3 compounds if it is dry, because we all know China does have a proficiency to bring us a little bit of rain, Lee.
Yes, it does. China is very unpredictable. It's one of those tracks I liken it to Brazil in some way, where like you go into it and it's gonna be completely dry, and all of a sudden it starts raining. So it's a very unpredictable track, and that's what makes China a good track. I mean, from what I know, lots of people don't seem to like China, but I actually really like China, and I'm kind of sad it's not on the calendar in real life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, last raced here in real life, of course, in the proper F1 season back in 2019. 4 years ago coming up now. It has been a little bit of a break due to that big word that I know that YouTube doesn't really like, so I won't say it because, you know, we wouldn't want to discourage any new fans joining into the CRL due to the algorithm. But yeah, unfortunately being cancelled once again this season. Hopefully back on the calendar for next. And it does mean that I believe for all the F1 fans here, which I'm sure there's at least one or two F1 fans watching this tonight, Lee. It's going to be a big break in March. One race at the start and one race at the end. It's sort of like a spring break for the drivers. Much like CRL's had its winter break, the last race, of course, coming all the way back at the end of November, rounding off Season 7. Your champion, of course, in this tier was MKP, the Scotsman in the AlphaTauri. He sees himself move on up alongside a few other of last season's firm favourites, Mighty Baguette, and there is another one, Ferguson, of course. A couple of the drivers moving up to tier 3. Digweed is trying to move up in the standings here tonight. He does improve by 2.5 tenths, but it is an invalidated lap. He'll have to go again.
Yeah, it's Trunders round the final corners. I've watched his lap, it's been very good. Up to the line for Trunders. He goes P1 with a 133.6. That is a very good lap from Trunders. His first lap of the session. But yeah, back to what you were saying, like, again, this track, very easy to validate. Like, you have, it's mainly the final corner, the final sector, but those are very easy to spin, you know, like you have long corners, difficult traction zones, so it wouldn't surprise you if you see a few people spin on the left tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely, even for the more experienced drivers in Tier 1, I know in the practice sessions that we've had running so far, there's been plenty of backwards facing cars, and like you say, invalidations. Track limits, of course, being monitored here tonight at turns 10 as Mark Wilson goes top of the pots with a 33.5. We may even see a very, very solid and low 33 from the drivers tonight. But like I was saying, track limits monitored turn 10, turn 13 and turn 16 as DS Baker making his F1 debut after transferring from the GT Leagues. Goes provisional P16, a 35.4 for the Welshman. Everybody then a lap on the clock. Mark Wilson is up the top. We've seen him last season, of course, battling out with the likes of Ferguson, with the likes of MKP. His pace was extremely, extremely quick at times, but a little bit of consistency just not coming together resulted in a lot of dropped points and really lost out any chance of a championship hunt. He'll be looking to change that this season. The next two, of course, it's no surprise they are up there. The last time a race was held, now it wasn't an official race, of course, Lee. Deluxe and Trunders both raced in the Tier 2 pre-season race, Season 6, where we held round China. Deluxe came third and Trunders came fifth. This was in Tier 2, and it was only 2 seasons ago, so you're talking basically this time last year, so they've got experience of this track at a high level. And speaking of a high level, SUFC puts in a high level lap time of 1:33.3. These have absolutely blown my predictions out of the park here.
Yeah, they're making me his yogurt mug score.
They are. I was sitting, I'll be honest, I'll give you the insight. I was sitting in a session with Mr. Digweed and Mr. Murphy, and I was looking at Murphy's times thinking, they're only like, a second or so off mine. That's quite quick. He must be up there in the mix. Thinking I'm a Tier 2 driver, I'll be at least a second quicker than the pole in Tier 4. I'm looking at being maybe 3 or 4 tenths quicker than the pole here tonight, so might see me racing in Tier 3 yet. Maybe even Tier 4 at this rate.
With these young combs, lad, it can't happen.
Main man Moody then, another man that's raced here a few times before in CRL. Tier 3, the last time out in the pre-season race, finished P14, and in CRA, which was Tier 3 at the time he finished, P12 in the first and only official race, of course, round 2 of Season 3, but it makes me look like a mug and comes on into the pits. Deluxe then, rounding the long right-hander of turn 13, down this back straight, and this is a key element of this track, Lee. We've seen a few of the kind of winding, twisty corners already, but then you've got this long straight, and even the first straight, start-finish straight, you can't go too downforce. Heavy as the McLaren, getting a little bit in the way there, and makes a bit of contact. I'm not sure if that was AFL or Digweed. It was AFL. Not the kind of thing we want to see, but it is Tier 4. We all make mistakes, and this is the place for learning. However, not the kind of thing we want to encourage. Victor Mean then is on a flyer, looks to be 4.5 tenths up. Of course, drops down from Tier 3 after not even a slow season, just a little bit of a disappointing season. So he'll be looking to build a little bit of confidence here in Tier 4 in his second season in CRL. I don't know, Lee, how well you know some of these drivers, so I'm just going to try and basically shout Expedition at you. Exposition, not Expedition.
Yeah, I mean, I've only really met most of the guys in the past 2 days since, I started picking people Discord, so yeah, as Victor Mean comes around the final corner, up to the line for the Mercedes, it says a 33.7 and goes P4. A lot more drivers in the 33s than I think means you expected, Scott.
Yeah, I was expecting that to be 33.7. I was expecting that to be around about the pole time. It's not far off if you discount SUFC. Just just over a tenth there from P2 Mark Wilson. But some very, very solid lap times, of course. The nature of Tier 4 being the slowest tier, there is going to be a little bit more of a grid spread, particularly from top to bottom. But this is looking promising already. There's nobody really running away with it. SUFC, yes, he has a couple of times clear, but it's only one track. So we could be on for quite the title battle this season if this is anything to go by. I'm maybe getting ahead of myself, of course. But it'll be interesting to see, especially after next week. We've got Brazil, a slightly different track, a lot shorter, and a sort of a little bit of a different driving style. And then, of course, we've got the absolute turn it on its head when we go to Monaco for round 3. That'll be an interesting shout before the sort of driver re-evaluations and make sure everybody's in the right tier. Spider Rob then going for another lap, but there's plenty of traffic in Tier 1. Good job by the Tier 1. Sector 1, good job though by the Red Bull getting out of the way. I believe that was Curly. Yes, it was. We love to see that kind of thing. I'm trying to see if anybody is on a lap in the final sector here. Let's have a look at Wuban. I believe Luke is his go-to name. He's been around for quite a few seasons now. Mr. Midfield, I believe I deemed him in the draw. He's always been about that mid-pack, picking up 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Never been able to creep onto the podium. He'll be looking to try and pick that up this season. I think it is quite a relatively... Oh, no, I'm thinking at the wrong circuit. It is a 34-0. Some reason I thought we were in the 24s there, Lee. I just completely zoned out. I'm thinking he's 10 seconds off the pace here, so it's not been a great lap. But it has been a decent lap, and it puts him right in his usual position in that P7.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anybody else on a lap. I know Ghost Angel is just about to start a lap by the looks of things. He's been around since Season 4. Ever improving, of course, is the German CRL's oldest driver. We love to see him back on the grid once again. And he's going to kick off his next lap around China. His teammate, the admin Digweed, I believe, is just coming up to the line to start a lap as well. He did a 34.5 according to that, but then he's got full ERS battery, so I think Codemasters is having a stranger time than I am. Mean Man Moody starting a lap. Is there anybody actually doing anything fast?
Mark Wilson is a 10th up in the first sector, so there's...
We'll get on board with Mark Wilson. Then qualifying is over. SUFC is not going to be able to improve. He didn't get to the line in time. A 1:33.3 is going to be his best attempt. Murphy has crossed the line at 33.864 for him, as has Scooters Klein, Webstappen and D.S. Baker. They were all not improved. We've got Mercedes in the final sector. It is Victor Mean, currently P4, rounding this final corner. And no, he doesn't. He shoots off into the pits.
Mark Wilson was about 3/10 up, so... Oh no, he spun it! It was on course for Paul Mark Wilson there, and as you said about him earlier, he's very quick in his own right, but it's that consistency he lacks, and it seems like that's cost him there, because he was about 3/10 up. He was on for Paul, but unfortunately he spun there.
Deluxe then, can he take the pole?
Oh,
no, he can't. He can take P2 though, a 1:33.41 for the German. Mark Wilson not going to be able to set that lap due to the spin. Trunders and Victor Mean in the pit. Murphy P6. Marshall currently in P7. No, he's not. He's been dropped down by his teammate Topher, who crosses the line as Digweed jumps up to P13. Can Marshall, he was quick in his few appearances last season, take pole? No, he can't. It's only P6, a 33.844 here. Who will be next? It's another Mercedes. Round in the final corner. Mean Man Moody up to the line, then get that DRS open foot to the floor. He does improve, goes P9. AFL does improve and goes P11, and I think Spider Rob, the last to cross the line here, a 34.439 for him, and that is the first qualifying of the season over and done with Lee, and some pretty impressive performances, it must be said.
Yeah, I think what SGFC didn't even come back out on track for his final run, so he was very confident. And anyone says that tires, I mean, race Sebastian Vettel-esque, and it works. So fair play to him. Yeah, 33, very good lap, and yeah, a very good quality session to start off the season. I wonder if we're going to see any rain in the race, Scott.
Tier 3, if you've been tuning in and watching that stream, hopefully you're maybe tuning into both, just have Josh and Moot and you're listening to me and Lee, but nah, we love you, Josh, really. They've seen a little bit of rain here in Shanghai. Will it come for us in Tier 4? We'll find out very shortly. FUFC then takes pole position at 133.382, 28 thousandths, it should be said, ahead of Deluxey. 2 tenths then back, you've got the battle between Mark Wilson and Trunders by the looks of things. Victor Mean and IR Marshall and Murphy very, very close behind. And then look at this group here, all in the 34 zeros. Topher, Moody and Wuban. AFL rounds off, and Crawley, round off your top 12. Your points paying positions, of course. Digweed and Spider Rob creeping into that top 14. And of course, 6 more drivers picking up the rear of the pack. But we do have 28 laps here in Shanghai. It's looking dry at the moment, but it's looking about as dry as a Scottish summer's day. There could be some rain in that air yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and you both know how much a dry summer's day is, Scott. But yeah, I mean, it is very overcast, so who knows what we could see. But as I said earlier, the thing about Shanghai is that the weather can change in about, I guess, in a lap or so, so I'll have to wait and see what happens.
Definitely, it's one of those tracks where the weather can just come down. If it comes down in the wrong places, particularly if it's dry in the first and third sector and wet in the second sector, it can play havoc with your strategy, havoc with your tyres, and havoc maybe even with your front wing and suspension. We'll wait and see. 28 laps ahead of us around this 3.387 mile, 5.451 kilometre circuit. We're looking at just under 95 miles here for the drivers, or 102.5 kilometres for you European fans of ours. It'll be interesting to see who can take the victory here tonight. We, of course, have only had one official race here before in Syria, or one official round, it should be said, not race. Of course, 3 races taken on place that week. The last times out in Tier 4, it was Jack DNF, no longer racing with us, who took the win in Tier 4. Of course, was Tier 3 at the time. Big Balls taking it in Tier 2, and Ferg. We love Ferg. I wish he would be back a little bit more consistent. He took the win in Tier 1. That is looking very greasy. Spider Rob as well, I just noticed, put a message in about taking a car. What to do, Rob? I don't know if you are listening in. I hope you are. If you join in the spectating, once the formation lap is over and we're underway racing, you press square, find your name, and you should be able to select to take control. Hopefully he manages to get that. But Lee, formation lap underway. Let's look at some data. What are the tyres looking like?
So, everyone bar Victor Mean, Topher, AFL, currently Ghost Danger 1 and the Maverick are all on medium tyres, so not that much of a strategy. A few going onto the hards, which, I mean, from my own experience, hard to medium is a fast strategy, but I can see why choosing mediums, because, you know, it better start off the line, plus the mediums are quicker to fire up, and the hards take a while to, you know, get into range, so yeah, but a good mix of strategy there, I think, to make an interesting race.
Definitely. Like you say, the mediums are going to grip in quite a bit quicker on this initial first few laps. And of course, when the car is fully laden, we've got to remember these guys will be carrying around about the 50 kilogram mark of fuel. In the previous qualifying sessions, you'd be lucky if they're carrying 5. So the cars are going to be a little bit more heavy. There's going to be a little bit more movement under acceleration, under braking. That's going to make traction and stopping that little bit more tricky. So the extra grip from the mediums could be crucial for some. However, towards the end of the race, they are going to have to use those slower hards, and it may come back to bite them. Safety cars could all throw that into the wind, however. It's not uncommon here around Shanghai, of course, as we see SUFC take as an interesting line through the hairpin, it must be said, but at least his tyres have been nice and toasty. He is, of course, our pole sitter here tonight in China in the Alfa Romeo. Looking at the constructors' battles as well, it's a good mix. 7 different constructors in the top 7. You get a repeat with the 2 Ferraris in the top 8, and I won't complain about that as one of the Ferrari drivers. Main man Moody at the secondary Mercedes, and then the first of the Haas in the top 10. So pretty much, apart from the 2 Mercedes and the 2 Ferrari, we've got every constructor represented with 1 car in the top 10. Them 2 having 2, and I believe it is the 2 Alpine and the 2 AlphaTauri not getting into the top 10. So from a constructor's point of view, it's wide open. 2 cars then disqualified coming into the box so far. I believe there is still 1 taking its place, showing that we've got better at this over the years so far, Lee. But I think it's everybody's favourite time of the season. It's round number 1, season number 8 of CRL Tier 4. 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go. And Spider Rob has had a horrendous start to his season. A drive-through penalty for jumping the lights. There's front wing carnage at the back of the grid. Deluxy, though, going down the inside of SUFC into turn 1. Mark Wilson holding a position, I believe, in P3. Trundust P4. Victor Mean, and we look, for the most part, apart from, I believe, Spider Rob and Wuban, to have got away pretty clean. I don't know why the leaderboard on the left-hand side is glitching out like mad. Spider Rob, a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I believe there might be some connection issues there, Lee.
Yeah, I think so. And there's a little bit of Jabars in the back, but everyone seems to go on the way clean enough for a turn 1. But yeah, I mean, the Oxy did the best he could. He got the better start, and then he got on the inside into turn 1. And no real movers from what I can see, as Trevor was qualified. I think, as you said, there was some connection issues there, so that's very unfortunate for him. But like I said earlier, Robert, it's a long season, so unlucky, but just come back stronger next time.
Yeah, disappointing start. It's, I suppose it is the nature of online racing. As happened Red Bull, I believe that was Mark Wilson running a little bit wide there. Fortunately, we don't have the risk of injury or anything bad or unwanted like that. However, there is the occasional connection issues. We're 3 wide going into the hairpin here. Victor Mean getting forced out a little bit wide. That'll let IR Marshall have a run, but Victor Mean running out and getting a better run now into turn 16. Takes the inside line. Beautifully done by those 2 to not force anybody into the curds to spin off. And here comes Murphy picking up the straps in the run down into turn 1, using a little bit of that ERS already. Scooter claim the first of ours to pit. He must have been the one involved now with Ghost Angel 1.
Marshall
a bit
going
of
with
front wing.
inside.
Marshall trying down the inside, turn 1, turns to the outside, and he's under pressure now from Moody.
Yep, as is. I think Moody's dropped back a little bit. Is Murphy going to go for Murphy? No, he breaks just try. Oh, Marshall almost goes into the back of the McLaren. Getting very close here. Seems to kind of spread itself out going to the sector, but SUFC and the Oxy are gone. 2 seconds car already. I reckon these 2. It could be a sign of things to come. Who knows?
Yeah, they're looking very strong in this early stint. Deluxy getting the jump on SUFC, but SUFC holding on to his coattails at the moment. Mark Wilson and Trudder's having a little battle for P3 at the moment, and then you've got this train all the way from P5 down to P11. The Maverick looks to have a little spin on the exit of turn 10. Of course, the double left-hander is a very tricky corner. Currently on board then with Mean Man Moody. He's got plenty of ERS in the tank at this early stage, and he's closing, and alongside the Ferrari of IR Marshall. Lap 2, of course, no DRS at this point, but Marshall trying to come around the outside, trying the late brake, the Danny Rick strategy, but not going to get the exit he needs on the run to 16. Is going to have this settle in behind in P8. FUFC putting the fastest lap in, however.
Yep, as Tom will tip up. Is he going to try and go from your own Topher into turn 1? I think he's a little bit too far back, but we'll see. Into turn 1 he goes. Topher goes a little bit wide, but no, he can't get the cutback line on him. So, yeah, but as Marshall almost going into the back of Moody there, who seems to go a bit deep, but yeah, There's some good battles at the moment, Scott.
Yeah, there's some nice little trains, nice little battles developing here, and it's been relatively clean for the most part. Spider Rob having a little bit of issue at the start. There was some sort of contact, I believe, for Scooter Claim and Ghost. Maverick having a spin, but aside from that, it's been actual nice, good battle and some side-by-side action, some close runs, and it's about to get a little bit even closer because DRS will of course be activated. The detection zone then just on the exit, or the midpoint you would say, of turn 12, that little right hander before the snail run. So we're going to get a first look at action at that. It'll be SUFC getting it on Deluxe. Will he use it to make a move on the German for temporary lead of this race? Up to the line then, DRS activation. You can see that rear wing wide open on the Alfa Romeo, and look at the time gain he is getting. He is gone and by well in advance of the hairpin and gets the move done. However, he is going to return the favour now to Deluxe. The detection point just before the left-hander here. Maybe not, in fact. Deluxe getting a brilliant run out of 15. Almost tries to make it work side by side. Thinks better of it. Backs out, gets the DRS, and now he's got a run down into turn 1.
It's going for it then inside. They're actually trying to retake the lead, but he's got the move, but actually he can't hold it any outside. He can't seem to have, and Deluxe is taking that base back. Brilliant move from Deluxe, brilliant battle from these two, and hopefully it's a sign of things to come.
Absolutely. Further behind, Trundles and Mark Wilson have a battle of their own. Victor Mean, Murphy, Mean Man Moody, IR Marshall having a little battle. Tom and Tip Top and Topher having a battle. AFL and DS Baker having a battle. And Digweed and Webstappen. And then Curly and Wuban having a battle. There is there's a real spoiled for choice here at the moment. I'm not quite sure which one just to look at. IR Marshall looks to be the closest of any car at this middle sector, of course. Sector 2, not an easy place to make overtakes work. It is a very technical, flowing sector. You've got the right-hander of turn number 6, technically it is. Tricky traction zone before the sweeping left, sweeping right of 7, 8, the double left of 9 and 10. And DS Baker has fallen victim to one of those. I don't know, did you see what happened, Liam? Assuming it's that little bump just on the entry to turn number 9.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it, but that's what it seems like. As HFC didn't get the arrest for the back straight, so I think he was just missing out. But Trundles is gaining, as I think Digweed has spun as well, and DS Baker spun again. So hopefully,
it's the bother with this track, of course, Lee. Tyre, like we kind of spoke about it very, very briefly. Your fuel isn't generally an issue around here. Yeah, you do use a bit of fuel, but it's not a big burner for a track. Tyre temps and tyre wear, that is where you can lose it all. And we all know that once you spin once, you can really easily spin again because those tyres just get cooked.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm like, even if the tires aren't cooked, as Marshall has spun, I think it was it, and yeah, fallen victim to the exit of turn 3. I think it is another one. So now he's down to the P14, and he'll try and fight his way back. Hopefully his tires aren't that overheated. He didn't spin fully, so I wouldn't say they're not overcooked.
Just need to take a few turns, maybe even a sector or two, just to cool him back down. The front wing looks intact, so he looks to be running all right, but of course a huge amount of time lost. His teammate is currently in P9 on the back of Tomo Tip Top. Tomo been here a while. Topher a little bit new on the grid. He's just been here for, I believe, 1 full season, but the two of them currently battling out for P8. Further up though, Murphy and Moody have caught back up with Trundles and Mark Wilson. They are now in this P3 train as SUFC is slowly closing in on Deluxe towards the hairpin. We'll jump to this action very, very quickly. Deluxe is staying ahead into the hairpin, getting a good exit, however, and he's gonna have the lead into turn 16, but SUFC once again having this DRS. That, of course, allows him to save the DRS.
Murphy's come wide. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but Murphy went wide at the final corner, and me and Mooney almost at the back of him.
Done well to keep out of each other's way. Lost a huge bit of time though. You can see they were right in the tail of Trundles. They are now 2 seconds adrift. But good driving then by the sounds of things to keep everybody out of the wall. Baker on his debut in the F1 season, having a spin on the exit of the hairpin. Keep it going though, son. There's plenty of time for a safety car, for retirements, and for anything to pick up points. 12 places for the points, of course, here in CRL season number 8. P1 picking up a tasty 30 points. P2 24, P3 20, 17, 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 and 1 for the following positions all the way down to 12th, and of course a bonus point for the fastest lap within that top 12. Sprint races are a thing. We'll cover the sort of point system when we get to one of them. Of course, I believe our first is actually round 4, if I'm right,
Yes,
around about La Castellette in France.
Yes, it is. As we have 2 battles, but I don't from the watch. Do we watch SFC or do we watch Trundles? I think Trundles, he seems to be a bit more closer to Mark Wilson. The Williams, he's gaining. He's not using any of his ERS, so I'm not sure he's going to be close to making a move into the hairpin. It's good straight line speed, he's gaining, but he's a little bit too far back on the regular side. I mean, there's no real rush to make moves at the moment, you know, just trying to stick behind, save your ERS, save your tires. Which is kind of the unfortunate thing about it, because that means you get no action.
It can be, but there is the sort of long, you know, you can win the battle and lose the war, or lose the battle and win the war. And Trundles, he's sticking well in behind on Mark Wilson here, who's maybe trying to line up and move into turn 1 and then try and pull out. I try and get that. Ideally, you want to break that DRS gap if you can once you make the move. He's got to be careful though, because Murphy, within that last lap, he's pulling along Moody, has closed the gap by just under 6 tenths. I think AFL had a little half spin there. He seems to have caught it relatively well. Yellow flag's being shown for him, and he has lost another position on those hard tyres. Speaking of hard tyres, Victor Mean in the Mercedes is our top hard run at the moment, currently P7, as Wuban has had a spin by the looks of things on the exit of turn 3. Trundles though very close to the rear of the Red Bull of Mark Wilson. SUFC just hovering on that DRS, 1 second point behind Deluxe, and in fact it's going the wrong way for him. A little mistake must have crept into his race at this point, and Trundles almost pushing Mark Wilson around about the left-hander of 11 and the right-hander of 12. This will be an interesting run down the back straight here, Lee.
Yeah, here comes Trundles. He's closing this time, he's using his ERS. He has nothing to use. He's gaining on Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson leaving, which you're allowed to do, as long as he's not interfering with the other car. Trundles gaining now, gaining. He's going to go to the inside. He goes to the inside. He sends it down the inside of Mark Wilson. Mark Wilson on the outside. He gets a bit of traction and hold position for now, though. But we'll see what happens on the run down to turn 1 as they exit the final corner. Trundles is sticking close up behind him. He isn't using his ERS, so I'm not sure if he's going to go for a move to turn 1. And no, I think we'll just hold back. But SFC has dropped out of DRS to Deluxe. It's now 1 seconds, so we'll have to wait and see if he can catch it. Trundles again going for a move down inside of Mark Wilson through turn 1, 2 and 3. He goes a bit wide trying to get a better exit in the Red Bull, but no, I think he's had to concede the position.
He's just going to have to concede that battle for now, but look at that little battle as Lit Murphy and Mean Man Moody, or the driver formerly known as Mean Man Moody, now just FRL Mean Moody, to catch right up in this pack. Some beautiful racing though between Mark Wilson and Trundles. A little bit aggressive, but every bit within the letter of the law, and to be fair, great respect shown by both the Red Bull and the Williams driver, leaving each other just enough room, just enough time, and just enough heads up about what their intentions are. Beautiful, beautiful stuff here in Tier 4. Murphy then and Moody, like you said, joining in this battle, and Wiban and Wibstappen, the first of our pitters. 6 laps on the mediums. They've decided that's enough, get the hards on and try and go long to the end, so we'll see how that works out for them. 19 cars still in this race as we've just crossed the quarter-way mark. Back on board then, we're keeping an eye on this battle for P3, a 4-way battle for P3 at the moment. Mark Wilson leading Trundles, who goes down the inside once again like he did last lap, almost pushing Mark a little bit wide there. Looked just about fair, a little bit aggressive, but seemed fair enough and gets the move done. But Mark now going to have the DRS back on the Williams down to turn 1, pulls out to the right hand side of the Williams, and he's going to have the inside line into turn 1, and he'll take that position back. Thank you very much.
Yeah, some great moves there from the pair of them. I mean, liking this battle for the podium so far between Mark, Trundles, Murphy and me and Moody. The latter of the two not being able to mix it just yet, but I'm sure there's biding the time, maybe seeing if it goes obviously in the front two, that can very easy happen. And then, as Murphy almost goes into the back of the Williams, You broke very early in there, but you just managed to avoid them. But yeah, again, just have to be careful. I'd say braking a little bit earlier when you're behind the car, because you know you could always easily hit the back of them.
Yeah, it's always that thing. You obviously, when you're in a train, especially in race conditions, as Murphy's had a spin on the first of the left-hander. That's almost commentator's curse, as I was riding on board with him. I never just said it. He has spun out of that train back down to a two-car train, of course, because he was plugging the gap between Moody and Trundos. He's not going to have DRS, but I can't remember what I was even going to say. Oh yes, the gap, and of course, when you're running a time trial or a quality lap, you can brake at the absolute last moment because you're light in fuel, you're high on grip, and there's no car in front of you. When you're in race conditions, you're in race trim, you're in race fuel, you're in race tyres, and there's a car in front of you, so there's a concertina effect, and that can somehow play havoc as Trundos tries it once again. A little bit of argy-bargy, wheel-to-wheel action here. They're going to try and go side by side through 16. Trundos backs off from the inside. Will take the DRS and try again. These two having a ding-dong scrap here for P3, and that is inviting Mean Man Moody in. It's inviting Victor Mean, who's picked up the first penalty of the night, to try and catch up in things, as Digweed has lost it again on the exit of turn 13. MFC Trundos going down the inside into turn 1, of course, turn 2, turn 3, and technically turn 4 here. Where are they going to appear? There they are. I didn't think they were ever going to appear on the screen, judging by that camera angle, but Trundos back in front ahead. That's been some battle so far, Lee Maronia, on lap 10. But we'll take a look at something else that's going on. Maybe the battle between AFL and Curly. Currently for P10, Murphy has found himself actually down there amongst them pair at the moment. So he'll be looking to try and pull up back into the sort of pace he had. But Curly and AFL both within the DRS of each other, and Murph, of course, 4.3 seconds gap to the next car up the road. Topher, he's just on the outskirts of Tomo Tip Top's DRS. Of course, a crucial time in the race now though, Lee. 10 laps on the mediums. That's starting to look about pit stop time.
Yeah, I reckon we'll be seeing the first stops in a few minutes. And Victor Mean is doing a very good job on the hards. Only about 1.7 seconds away from Moody, who's part of the train for the podium. So he's doing really well, obviously. When you get some lower fuel, and you can push more, the difference in the mediums and hards will get larger. So, Victor Mean will definitely be in with a shout as SUFC comes into the bits as predicted around this time.
SUFC going for the undercut then, 10 laps on the mediums. The rest of them going for number 11 by the looks of things. Tomo Tip Top does in fact follow his teammates. Suit the Alfa Romeo boys enough apart though that there shouldn't be any sort of double stack, and by the looks of things the rest of them pretty much carrying on. So be interesting to see Victor Mean and their Luxie, of course. It's going to be a little bit of an overcut here maybe.
Yeah, and see the overcut around here is, it can work. It's not like too, what's the word, it's not like too big of a difference between the overcut and the undercut. It's really dependent on the driver themselves. So yeah, but if Milwaukee plays this lap, then there should be a big enough gap to where they should be going ahead.
Absolutely should be able to hopefully hold position for his sake of the race. SUFC has came out in clean air. He does have IR Marshall right behind him, in fact, though, on the mediums, and these hards are going to take a little bit of time to heat up, so he's going to have to just be a little bit careful here, and may see an attack from the Ferrari down into the hairpin if he's feeling brave enough. Of course, we don't know what Marshall's intention. He might be coming in this lap. The battle for P2 technically it is now, of course. Net P3 still raging on. Mark Wilson, Moody still battling on, trying to get past Trundos, but the gap's forming a little bit as we see Luxie fall into the pits. Trundos follows suit, adds us Mark Wilson. Mean Man Moody, though, goes another lap on the mediums. This will be 12 laps he'll be doing at least on these mediums. Of course, it's less time he has to spend on the hards. Little bit of an overcut, maybe he might lose out time, but of course he'll come out with 2 lap fresher mediums hards, maybe 1 lap fresher hards than some, and might be able to go for a little bit of the overrun, having the better tyres towards the end. Murphy following suit, and then just leaves all of our starting hard runners effectively of Victor Mean, Topher, Murphy, and or not Murphy, sorry, Curly and AFL Speaking of
Yeah,
Collie, he's tight at the back of Murphy.
as that gap between the front two is around about the same, but SFC with faster tyres, we were looking to try and close the gap as it's now at 1.5, so around about the same, but with cold tyres, and SFC with fresher tyres, he'll be looking to try and get back in the DRS, because at the moment, it seems like I don't know if she's the faster car, but SFC with DRS, he's definitely fast enough to stay within a DRS range once he gets in it.
Absolutely, and like you say, he's had that lap on the hards. They're going to be up to racing temperature. Look at the gap. He's already pulled it down from 1.6 to 0.8. He's going to be within the DRS here, of course. Deluxe's tyres should be pretty much warmed up by now. You'd like to hope anyway, or they're not going to be too far off. So he's going to have a chance at least. But look at the run SUFC is getting out just with that little bit extra grip of having those worn in tyres. DRS and ERS there to deploy. He's getting this moved on extremely early. He has got an ERS advantage over Deluxe at this time, so he's looking pretty good as things stands and moves up to what is provisional lead. Mean Moody does pit, as does Murphy after 12 laps on the mediums. So they'll be going on to the hards to the end, meaning that our top four, of course, still had to pit, and SUFC fires in the fastest lap while he's at it. Deluxe though is going to be up to speed now. He's going to be up to temp. He has got a little bit of an ERS deficit, of course, but we've seen his pace at the start, and I think over the course of a race here, Lee, I think maybe Deluxe was a bit quicker on the first stint, a bit braver maybe on the mediums. SUFC maybe finding this rhythm now on the hards. He's got less weight. He's got less weight in the car anyway. He's up to speed with the track, up to speed with the session. I don't think there'll be as much between them now.
Yeah, hopefully not, because I mean, it means we gotta go fight for the lead, but yeah, it does seem like the SFC seems to just finally settled in. Obviously, maybe it's a bit of nerves, trying to chase down the lead, but once you're in the lead, maybe it's a little bit better. As Mark Wilson has spun, he was in a net P3, and he seems to have kept the inside curve too. I want to say turn 6 or 7, I think.
Turn number 7, yeah, the long left-hander. He's on the inside, tip top now, but he's going to have slightly warmer tyres. Not a corner you really want to try and go side by side, and he does back off in the second of the double left-handers. But Mark Wilson falling into old habits, qualifying well, and having a little bit of slip, and I think you pretty much hit a nail on the head. That inside curb around about turn 7 can be extremely deadly for your race. Deluxe closing in again with the assistance of DRS on SUFC. Not able to make the move into the hairpin. He's going to get it down into turn 1, of course, now. Runs a little bit wide. That might be a warning, or it might just have been within track limits. Answers on a postcard with that, but he's not going to have enough pace to get the job done into turn 1.
Yeah, see, SFC with the ERS advantage, if I was the Lux, I mean, he seems to be at least equal pace on SFC, so if I was the Lux, I would just sit behind, save my ERS, because it will still keep at SFC, and on this game, ERS management is a very key thing, so hopefully
sit in that DRS, sit in that slip, like you say. Keep tight to the rear of the Alfa Romeo as you can. Use a little bit if you needed to keep in, but like you say, try and save that up. And it is, like you say, we're only just about to finish up here, lap 14. We're only just hitting the halfway mark around this initial Grand Prix, so there's plenty of time for more action to come. There's plenty of things that could come awry, come amiss, so we'll see how it all develops. SUFC though and Deluxe are going to start encountering a little bit of traffic from the hard runners, the first being AFL. SUFC in fact might find himself getting a DRS assist down in towards the hairpin. He was just outside it, so he's not going to have that extra pull along to try and keep Deluxe off his tails, but it's going to have to be something they manage, because of course they are faster, they've got fresher tyres, they're going to have DRS and probably ERS, but these guys aren't going to want to just pull over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what the right to be about. Obviously, it might be slow for the race, but I don't know lap cars. If they are fighting them, there's nothing against the rules for it. So I'll have to wait and see.
Maybe some will let it happen easy and figure about their own race. Of course, they have got to serve a pit stop, but I mean, a safety car comes out, you've just gave up a position. you gave up a few seconds, it could make all the difference. There's a few different mentalities and schools of thought on that. Mark Wilson is trying to make his way back up through the grid after that spin from battling with Trunders. He's right on the tail of Tomo Tip-Top, almost pushes around 3 and 4. The red light flashing on the rear of Tomo Tip-Top, telling us he's at less than 10% ERS at the moment. Mark Wilson not much healthier as there's a yellow flag on the exit of turn 3 and 4. That is the Maverick, the man from Greek that's been here a wee while. And what did I just say about a safety car, Lee?
Right on the dot, Scott. I mean, I'm not sure that's a comment as curse now. It depends who you're looking at it from, but yeah. Is that a VSC or is that a full safety car? It is a full safety car.
It's a full safety car, and Trunders, exceeding the Delta, speeding under the safety car, picks up a drive-through, which of course he won't be able to serve until the safety car comes in. He's going to lose at least 20 seconds on the pack.
Yeah, but I don't know what safety car was for. Was it no one DNF'd?
The Maverick spun on the exit of turn 4. I'm assuming he's got no front wing. So I believe just the way, it must have just been the precise little bit that he spun on, and the way his debris maybe flung across the track and sat on the track that has caused it. This is big for the likes of Victor Meany.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but SFC has stayed out as everyone else seems to be pitting on the mediums. It looks like SFC, I think he's made the wrong call here. Now, I know Trappers isn't opinion, but it's already there's like 3 laps to go. There is 2 laps to go, so it'll be a monster job. He's had good pace on the hard, so maybe he just prefers the hard combat tire, so you know, it could work out. It's already on his preference, because he's definitely seemed to have the better of the hard tire so far.
Yeah, it is an interesting case. Of course, previously, last season, particularly at the start, we would know you only have one set of hards, one set of mediums. Now, we don't know what these drivers are went, and they might have went hard, they might have went balanced, or they might have went softer. Balanced, of course, gives you 3 sets of softs and a set of medium for qualifying, and it gives you a set of hards and medium for the race. But you can save that medium in qualifying and effectively have 2 mediums. So you could do a medium hard, and then if a safety car like this comes out, you go into the mediums, like we see, not just the front sort of from P2 to P5 that are running naturally in that position on the hard yet to make the pit stop, with the likes of Trunders, Moody, Tomo Tip-Top, the Luxy, with Stappen, Marshall, Maverick, Wuban all make. So maybe SUFC opted for the softer of the qualifying tyre strategies, limiting to 1 medium that he's already used for 12 laps, or 11-ish laps, it's out of the question. And that's another thing, Lee, by the time we get underway, we're going to have 10, maybe 11 laps of racing. These mediums could start to die off by about laps 7 or 8 into that stint, and then maybe towards the end, as FUFC can hold in a decent position, it could come all back to him. This is the beauty of league racing, though. It taketh with one hand, giveth with the other. And people like Mark Wilson, who's had a spin, he's now finding himself in the middle of the pack on hards, as is Murphy, choosing to stay out, keep track position, and go on a slightly harder used compound of tyre. It really changes the whole dynamic of this Grand Prix now. And then Trunders, of course, up there, a guaranteed podium sitter if he kept the pace he was running. Tried through, he's out of contention, so all bets are off.
Exactly, I said that is the beauty safety car can bring, but at the back of your point about the mediums, obviously on lower fuel, obviously less weight in the car itself, that does reduce tire wear and give more grip to the medium runners, but who knows, it goes to be a drop off, because I do reckon we'll see most medium runners pushing a lot, and pushing might lead to more mistakes, more spins, and it could lead to extra tire. And as you said, that's the unpredictability at which we live in league racing.
Absolutely, anything can happen, and of course, who's to say we're not going to see another appearance from the safety car before the end of the Grand Prix, and that would really turn everything on its head. We'd see everybody dive in, probably for a set of softs, but we'll wait and see if that happened. It sometimes is a thing, not just in league racing, in F1 itself, where safety cars breed safety cars as the pack gets re-bunched up. There's people in different tyres, different strategies, and different ages of tyres, mixing it together. Different paces falling through the pack into the mid-pack, like Sir Luxy. He's down in P7 as things stand. He's got to make up through the pack of 6 ahead of him if he's going to claim this win. So it really does kind of throw everything on its head. Majority of the pack though is in the train. I believe Scooter Claim is just coming around to join it alongside the Maverick P14 and 15 respectively. Just our back four coming together. The two Haas and the two Alpha Tauri running 2x2, one of each respectively at the moment. So I think we'll have, pardon me, at least one more lap here under safety car, and hopefully we'll be back racing by lap 19.
Yeah, and the great thing about safety cars, it rewards the drivers who maybe had a difficult race, had the race they wanted, but still kept going. And that's the mentality that I have, and I encourage everyone to have. Because, you know, as we said, league race is unpredictable. One lap you could be at the back, 3 seconds behind, next minute in a safety car. So, like, that's the beauty of a safety car. I think it rewards people who, you know, have the mentality of, okay, I'm going to keep on going, I can still salvage stuff from this race.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody. The only sort of way that you're screwed under the safety car is if you go a lap down, and nobody's done that. Everybody is on the lead lap. Everybody is in the fight. The only retirement we've had, it's not even really retirement. It's a more technical disconnection. Just killing off his race is Spider Rob. All of the other 19 drivers still running, still fully intact cars as things stand. So 7 of them, as it stands, won't get points. 12 of them will. You'd like to fancy your odds in that prediction?
Yeah, you would, and as I mean, when the safety car comes in, there's still be about 9-10 laps to go, so there's still a lot of time for the drivers who are near the back to try and grab some points. Because I mean, that's the beauty of the cold offers and no other offers. You know, 12th place gets points. I would just do it differently to everyone else.
Exactly. It used to be 15, of course, down to 12, just to make them worth that little bit more, because we were seeing some incredibly crazy looking points tallies after like 4 rounds. It was a little bit mental at times, but making each point worth that little bit more makes every battle that a little bit more intense. Coming through then the middle pack, the middle part of lap 18 there, you join us. Safety car underway here in China, but we should be back racing by the end of this lap. The first safety car of Tier 4 Season 8. I don't think it'll be the last one. It is common, not just in this tier, but in pretty much every single tier that we have. The games just sometimes seem to fire them out, but it's going to fire it back into the pits, and it will be the Aston Martin, the Alfa Romeo of SUFC, who will get us back underway racing here in China. Victor Mean then, he went long on the hards alongside Topher, Curly and AFL and no, not Deluxe, sorry. The 4 of them run along the hards, being opportunistic with this safety car to make a free pit stop effectively and get on the mediums to the end. Ones to definitely watch out for, but Victor Mean with a 3-second penalty. Mark Wilson having that spin is on 6-lap-old hards, but he has got the pace. We've seen it already, as does Deluxe P7. Of course, was leading this race. Murphy's been in the mix at times for a podium, as is Trunders, who unfortunately has a drive-through penalty. Mean Man Moody again in that battle. And then you've got the sort of unlucky drivers, I would say, that have had a few spins, a few incidents in the back, but they've got everything to play for now. And it looks like SUFC has caught everybody absolutely napping.
Yeah, he has 1.6 already. He went all discreetly, like he edged towards, like he didn't go all of a sudden. He just kind of edged towards it as a scooter came in. Has he crashed on the exit? Yeah, he has crashed on the inside, so that's his race done. As Trunders is in the super drive, but yeah, essentially he just went very discreetly. Like he didn't just all of a sudden jump the gun. He just went, and no one seemed to notice. So, and that is good for him considering he's on a hard tire.
Yeah, I think he, like you say, he sort of just, he never really fired a gun. He sort of just ramped up to it slowly, and before they'd realised, oh, he's actually going now, he was already going. That gap, though, all the way back down to 6/10, the advantage of these fresh mediums versus the older hards really starting to show and kick in. Victor Mean has pulled a 1.2 second gap on Topher behind. He's got Curly and AFL fighting it out with himself for what is P3 in this race. Mark Wilson, Deluxe, very close behind, and then a little bit of a gap to the next hard runner of Murphy in P8. Scooter Claim, like you say, unfortunately having a spin on the restart on the final corner. It's first ever race here in CRL F1. Not to be too disheartened by that. You've had a good showing so far, Scooter, and it's a long season ahead. I think we'll see plenty from you, as we're seeing plenty from Deluxey tonight. He tries to go down the inside into the hairpin of turn 14 on Mark Wilson. Mark getting a better exit on the outside, but Deluxey coming back, having a sniff on the inside for the last left-hander of 16. The space not really showing there. And Victor Mean showing he has the pace, showing why he was in Tier 3 last season, puts in the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far.
Yeah, he's got back in the ERS. Obviously, the ERS isn't enabled to run on the lap, and that's another factor we should consider. Obviously, at lap 21 it will come, and we'll have to wait and see, because, as you said earlier, the ERS can make a big difference around this track.
Absolutely, DRS, that pull you get down that back straight and into turn 1. In fact, they're quite compact together. You get, if you're sitting behind a car, you can really pull in from a second to maybe half a second, and then from half a second to trying the overtake, and then you've got pretty much 2/3 of a lap to try and pull out a gap and avoid the same fate happening to yourself on the following run. A few cars into the pits, Tomo Tip Top and Digweed at this late stage are going to be well off the pack. Trunders has made his drive through, and I think Ghost Angel 1 and Baker having a little bit of a spin, so we've got an effective pack of 13 on the sort of lead on a macro scale, more the lead grouping. Only one of them isn't going to get a point as things stand, and the battle for the lead and indeed the rest of the podium is really starting to heat up here. AFL chasing Curley, chasing Topher, chasing Victor Mean, who's chasing SUFC, as Deluxey goes side by side with Mark Wilson along the back straight down into the hairpin and gets the move done. Another spin, I believe, for Ghost Angel 1, another one caught out by that long right-hander of 13. Deluxey finally clears the hard runner off Mark Wilson and can try and chase down the lead pack. DRS now enabled though, Lee. This is when things will get really, really tasty.
Yeah, 7 laps to go. It's basically a sprint. I mean, you're getting the early version of sprint race in round 1, so that's what, again, that's what we offer in Colin. As Murphy has hit. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there, Scott. Did you see that better than I did?
I did get a good view. Murphy got overtaken by Moody down into turn 1, tried to hang it around the inside, and I think just a little bit of understeer. It can be a tricky corner to find a line when you're trying to do it yourself, and I think just the two of them going side by side. Murphy edging out a little bit more. Moody
Victor
hanging it a little bit tight.
Victor Mean spun, he got on the inside curve, as we were saying. That curve was a devil, and Curly's got on past Topher as well, who seemed to have the win. So it's all happening here in the final few laps here.
As AFL touches the rear of Topher and spins him round, that almost looks like a connection issue, the way that's sort of a netcode spin, and this is you're rubbing your hands if you're Deluxey or Mark Wilson with this all kicking off there. We've had a pretty clean, a pretty standard race until now, and things really starting to fly here in Shanghai. A few incidents creeping in, and potentially a few jobs for the stewards to look at. Deluxey getting past another makes a move on AFL, but that ERS battery is looking mighty depleted. Currently in P2, 1.5 seconds, 1.6 behind SUFC, and then a 2-second gap to Deluxey, who's still got the threat of AFL and Mark Wilson in his rear view mirror. Lap 22 of 28 here in China.
Yeah, SUFC, he's making this hard strategy work wonders, so I think he's making me look quite stupid, you know. I'm meant to be the knowledge here.
We never know with League Racing. If we all had the answers, we'd all be in esports here, Lee. There's a reason. There's a reason I'm only in Cone Tier 2 and not the proper esports. But I would say that Cone is pretty much the second best thing, if not slightly better, just due to the amazing community we all share here. Of course, speaking of that sort of community, there's a bit of community buzz around the calendar, I think. Maybe not all good, but it certainly is a calendar indeed. Quick little run through that, if I can find it. You'd think as a head admin I'd have better access to this thing. I know exactly where it is, but like we said, China here tonight, followed by Brazil and Monaco. Then a sprint at France, across to Monza, Zandvoort, Baku, and then another sprint at Portimao in Portugal. We then have a break week after the first 8 rounds before we fly across to Austin, Texas for the USA Grand Prix. Hungary, Bahrain, Singapore, Austria follow suit before our Mexican sprint, a Saudi Arabian race, and a finale at Spa. Pretty good calendar overall, a good mix of tracks, and with this grid of drivers, I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. And Mark Wilson has developed a third warning for quarter cutting, giving him a 3-second time penalty on his final race time.
Yeah, as currently he's not really closing the gap here with 5 laps to go. It seems like SUFC's holding out on those hard tyres, which are now 11 laps old. No, sorry, 12 laps old. Ignore my eyesight. Yeah, so SUFC's doing very well. Obviously, as a fellow Alfa Romeo driver, I'm very happy to see that for him. So keep it up.
It's definitely a good showing for SUFC on these hards at the moment. A little bit of a, like we say, we weren't too sure at the time if he could make it work. He's making it work against Curly, but there is a threat coming in the distance, and it is green and from the Aston Martin team. Deluxe slowly chasing down Curly, 1.3 seconds the gap now to him. He's going to have to catch and clear him, and then he's going to have to catch up on SUFC for a chance at the win. Murphy has had another spin by the looks of things, and so has, I believe, Digweed or Ghost Angel 1, one of the Alpha Tauris at the back. Not going too good for our 2-tier admins, P14 and 17, respectfully. Is it respectfully? I don't know. Mark Wilson, though, having a look at AFL into the hairpin. Mean Man Moody still lurking in the background, however, and with Mark having that 3-second time penalty, that could be an easy position for the Mean Moody Man from FRL. P6 he currently is now, P5 once net penalties are applied at this stage. And AFL looks to be struggling a little bit pace-wide compared to these two. So maybe a move in the offering for him. Deluxe is still just outside the DRS range on Curly. Curly 1.7 to 1.8. It sort of ebbs and flows between 1.5 and almost 2 seconds, the gap for SUFC. He seems to have a bit more confidence in some corners and a bit less in others. And it's not very often we look at this position, but there's a mighty ding-dong battle happening for P15 here, Lee. DS Baker and Ghost Angel 1 going side by side for the hairpin. I just caught the tail end of it. Ghost Angel 1 gonna have the DRS in the run down into turn 1. Ignore all the action at the front. This is the battle I want to see. He's not quite gonna have the make a move. I'll maybe come back to this one later on, because it might seem, oh, it's only P15, but every position matters, and this is what I love about league racing. These boys are fighting it out to the bitter end for every single inch of tarmac.
Yeah, I think we just went around the front of the corner, but yeah, it looks she has now gone back into DRS, but currently has gotten that gap down to 1.3, so he's really pushing in the final lap. He's trying to get DRS. Would we see in last lap overtakes go? I mean, the prospect is very, very nice indeed, so I wouldn't mind that.
It's definitely on the cards, potentially.
Mark Wilson sending the move down the inside of AFL. He's gotten it, but Edmund going over the switch back into the final corner, and he backs out of it smartly.
So it will, of course, get DRS, and in fact, he's going to get a better exit, better traction, and using a little bit of the ERS. He's not got much left in the tank, 5% battery. Going to get the move done. Here comes Moody, though, having a little look down the inside on Mark Wilson. Of course, Mark on those 4-lap older and 1 compound harder tyres. It's going to be a little bit more of a struggle, but you'd like to think by this stage in the sprint, in the stint, that maybe the tyres aren't too much separate. I'd just like to say a big shout as well. We've been pretty much ignoring you. You know me, I'm never very good at looking at chat. Thank you everybody that's in the chat. 17 people tuning in live. A lot of love coming in for you, Lee, from the likes of Resify, from the likes of Steiny, Ferg, Jeroen, Spider Rob, MKP, Rotation, Kevin DeWill, Pyro, and a few others in there as well. Big love to all of you tuning in. But look at this battle we've got for P4, Lee. There is, what, 7 cars involved? 2, 4, 6? Yeah. Incredible. 25 laps into a Grand Prix. About 8 laps after a restart, 7, 8 laps. And we've still got such tight trains. We're not used to this sort of thing in Tier 4. The grid tends to just concertine out. bigger gaps of 3-4 seconds, and we've got several cars within that single gap that we're used between 1 or 2 cars. One of them is the battle for P2, the other the battle for P4, and there's the battle for the lead coming at any lap now.
Yeah, as Mark Wilson, he's going for a switchback on AFL. They're following corner again, but AFL, she's still held this one for now. Yeah, Mark Wilson, we're trying to get a switchback. She doesn't get, but I mean, he'll have the errors, but I think he's due for back in them more. But yeah, Deluxy trying to go for a move. If you want to try and catch SFC, you reckon it's a. You would say he would have to make the move this lap.
I just caught on board there with me and man Moody. Mark Wilson making an inch perfect pass on the Alfa Romeo. You couldn't even get a sheet of paper between the two as Mark tucked in front of AFL. That was really, I genuinely half gasped at that, thinking there was going to be an almighty clattering, but the two of them just about making it work, as Moody has had a little bit of a half spin and lost out quite a few positions on the exit of turn 6. Deluxy, like you said, really, he's literally pushing him round the corners here. He's desperate to get past this Red Bull, desperate to try and get a run at SUFC for the victory here in China. We've got just over 2 laps to go. He's going to have to try and get it done this lap. I think with the DRS, he's going to get it done into the hairpin. But the problem we're seeing for a lot of drivers here, Lee, they've got nothing left when it comes to battery, and that is making overtaking almightily hard. IR Marshall looking probably one of the best with about 40%. The rest of the grid looking pretty much 20% and under. And Marshall choosing not to use it at this stage because he knows the final few laps he can just burn that battery when everybody's got absolutely nothing left and just soar on past. Deluxy, because of that, hasn't been able to get past Curly yet. He's got DRS, he's using what little battery he has, and he's going to probably get it now on the run down into turn 1. This is for P2 of the race, and a chance for Deluxy to maybe chase down FUFC. It just shows how crucial the battery management has been for some of these drivers. It could make a difference for the likes of Marshall, for the likes of, I believe, even Verstappen. He's came out of nowhere in the second half of this race, just been keeping a nice steady race, making his way through the pack on the safety car restart, keeping his nose clean. He's up in P7, potentially P6 by the time that penalty gets applied, and he's still got a few overtakes he could pull off.
Yeah, as the Oxy is 1.3 seconds behind, actually, he's really pushing here. And maybe it's just that confidence boost of getting past Curly. Need 1.2 here, he's gaining, he'll be pushing here, but as you said, I reckon it should be the ERS because I mean he's on about 10%, whereas SSC is on about 40%. But look at him, he's gaining about 7/10 in this lap alone here, and I reckon we'll definitely see about him. If not this lap, definitely on the final lap.
Oh, absolutely. You can see him there. He was burning a little bit of the ERS to try and get within the DRS range. He's down to 10% versus SUFC's 44%. That, of course, he's using it more. He's having to use it to try and push and try and get within the DRS and get as close as he can. But it's going to mean that the DRS that he's got, it'll be a little bit offset by SUFC's battery deployment here. AFL has dropped a little bit off Mark Wilson. That's beautiful news for the Red Bull driver. He's got the penalty to serve. He can try and push on and get through. And it's bad news for AFL because he's got a mighty fast train of cars coming quite quickly behind him. But SUFC and Deluxy, this is the battle we're going to focus on for this lap. 7 tenths separate them. On lap 28, our top 3 separated by 1.9 seconds of a lap. It has been a brilliant race here in China by all 20 of our drivers. 2 retirements, 1 unfortunate disconnection in DSQ. There's been some brilliant moments of clean, fair racing, some brilliant moves and some incredible Tier 1-esque DRS trains and strategy calls. Brilliant season opener, and the thing is we're about 40 seconds off the end of this Grand Prix and we have still no idea who's going to get first, second and third.
Yeah, as Deluxy here, he's right on the back of the Alfa Romeo, but he's lost it a little bit through there, and that could cost him on the exit as SFC has this superior ERS as we go now through the long through the twisty section of the left and then the right on the exit here. This is very crucial here. Having up the power as early as you can. SFC seems to have done that. Oh, Deluxy spun it. Oh no, Deluxy's round and he's cost himself and not only a chance to win but a podium as well.
not just a podium, he's went down from potentially hunting the win. He's down in P9 now, P10 now, with Topher going through. SUFC, we maybe weren't too sure at one stage when that safety car came out. We're staying out of the hards. The right strategy. It kept him track position. It kept him in P1. And he held it the full way for the final 10 laps. He takes victory in China provisionally, of course, all before Stewin. Curley from out of nowhere, P2. He had a horrible start to the race, finishes in P2. IR Marshall, I believe he makes it I think 3 podiums in about 7 races in CRL, just pips with Verstappen. Mark Wilson dropping from P3 down to P5 with that 3-second time penalty. Mean Man Moody, AFL, Topher, Victor Mean and Derluxy round off the top 10. Derluxy in it for the win. The safety car came out. He got caught in the middle of the pack. He cut through the pack tremendously, only to lose it on turn 13 of the final lap and drop from what would have been a guaranteed P2 minimum to P10. The Maverick and Wuban round off your point scoring positions with Murphy, Trunders, who unfortunately have to serve that drive through penalty. It kind of killed his chances at a good finish to the race. He had great pace up there. Ghost Angel 1, I believe it is DS Baker, and then Digweed round off our finishers with the 2 not finishing due to DNFs being, I think it was Scooter Claim and we'll find out very shortly. Spider Rob, of course, unfortunately having the connection issues killed that off, but what a race that was, Lee.
Yeah, what a race. I mean, that race had drama, battles, spins, everything you could ask for in the race, really. But a quick shout out to Webb Stappen. He went on the radar of P16 to P4. He did his thing. I just stayed out of trouble. Wasn't really too noticed in this race, but what a drive from him, and I mean, he's my driver today, personally.
Yeah, a brilliant drive from him, 16th to 4th. It's quite the drive through the pack, especially after that safety car really pulling on through the pack. Mine, it's a toss-up. Curley makes it P12 to P2, a brilliant drive from him. Derluxy was near enough faultless until that final lap, but I think I've just got to give it to the man that put it on pole and run it all the way to the end. Yes, he lost out in turn 1, but he held on the coattails of Derluxy. He managed to make the alternative strategy when that safety car worked, hold on to the hards and run them all to the end. So for me, it is our race winner, SUFC, who I've got to give my driver of the day. Of course, all the drivers listening in, make sure you put your vote in, because it is ultimately up to you. Who decides gets that nomination. There we go, once again, our top 3. SUFC 69, WTL Curly 2111279. I think I got them numbers right. IR Marshall 5 in P3 for the Ferrari. Happy days for me. I'll take that every day of the week as one of the Ferrari drivers. With Stappen 16th to 4th, tremendous drive from him. As Mark Wilson, FRL, Mean Moody, AFL, Topher, Victor Mean, Derluxy, the Maverick, Wuban round off our point scorers. Murphy, Trunders, Ghost Angel 1, DS Baker and Digweed are race finishers, and it was Tomo Tip Top, Scooter Claim, DNFing, and Spider Rob unfortunately disconnecting despite showing some promising pace at times. So I think we've learned a lot from this Grand Prix, Lee, and I think that the main thing we've learned is this is going to be an incredible season.
Yeah, as you said, it has all the stuff to be an incredible season. I mean, just the grid seems a lot more competitive from what I've noticed. Like as you said, I mean, we had like 6-7 car trains. You wouldn't you wouldn't have seen this long last season. It would have been very rare. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot more accustomed to this as we go through the season. But hopefully that race sets a standard for what the rest of the season is going to be like.
Absolutely. Could you go ahead and do me a quick favour, Lee? Would you be able to add our top 3 in? We'll see if any of them fancy just a quick wee 5-minute chat, kick off the season. It's something that unfortunately, due to other issues, it wasn't really something I was in the position much to do last season, but it's definitely something I want to bring back. While you do that, I'll go a quick little run through once again what we've got happening over the following week. Of course, raced here in Tier 4 tonight. Tier 3 kicked off 45 minutes beforehand, so make sure to go and check that. That'll be on the channel. You can join the one and only Evans Joshua, aka Big Josh, on comms for that. Tier 2 kick off our Thursday night action here in China at 7:30 PM. GMT, followed by the big boys of Tier 1 at, I believe, 8:30 once again on Thursday. Then next Monday you can catch me and Leroy once again for what will be the second round of this Season 8 in Tier 4 as we take to Sao Paulo, Brazil for what will be an equally exciting race. We do, however, have two of our podium sitters joined already, and I think we'll start from the top. SUFC, that was a pretty almighty drive from you. Took in pole by just under 300s. You lost it on turn 1. You held on with Deluxey. The safety car came out and you opted to hold on the hards, and you just must have seen those gaps closing in. Curly was challenging you at one point. You knew Deluxey was coming. I don't know about you, but you must be absolutely... I'm absolutely knackered, so I'm assuming you are knackered and your heart is going a million miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what else to say, really. I think you cleared it all up. Some of the guys on the mediums were definitely putting pressure on. I thought Deluxey was going to have me at the end, but unfortunately it happens. It's happened to me a few times in the past, so I know how it feels when you spin out. But credit to Curly as well. I thought he was going to have me at one point. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, you've been here before. Second season in CRL, I believe it was P5, P6 overall in the standings. That must fill you with a little bit of confidence though going forward. Surprise title contender, or would you always knew you might be in this fight already? Of course, it is round 1. I might be getting ahead of myself, but I like to gas you boys up when I get a chance.
Yeah, no, it's like, because I've seen when the tiers come out that all the guys who finished above me moved up a tier, so I definitely knew that sort of if I can try and keep consistent, I'd end up finishing quite high up. But I know it's going to be a tough season because some of the tier 3 guys who have dropped down seem pretty quick, so I just got to try and keep the consistency up, because I do have like errors in my game. I do spin out quite a bit under my own pressure, so if I can cut that out, then I'm sure by the end of it we'll be up there.
Absolutely, I've got no doubts after what I've seen tonight. You're one certainly to look out for. And I suppose my last question, Brazil next week, is that a yay or a nay?
Oh, I love Brazil. Absolutely love it. I thought it was Monaco next week, or am I wrong?
Monaco round 3, we've got Brazil, then we get the fun. That'll be Monaco. Yeah, make sure you tune in for that one, folks. That'll be a brilliant race.
It's going to be carnage.
Absolutely. My bold prediction, 7 or less finishers. I think it's going to be a demolition derby in every single tier, just because it's been that long since we raced it. Lee, have you got anything to add for SUFC, our race winner here tonight in China?
No, not really. You stole everything from Scott, so I haven't.
Oh, well, I'm just too good at my job. Congratulations once again then, SUFC. It was pole, and of course the race win for you. Best of luck for the coming season, and judging by tonight, I don't think it'll be the last time we'll speak.
No, thank you very much.
No worries at all. Moving then to the second step on the podium, WTL Curly, making it, I believe it was P12 to P2. You've got to be happy with that drive.
Oh, mate, I suppose you could say P16 because I got hit on turn 3 or 4 at the beginning and I dropped back to P16. So, but yeah, mate, I am absolutely chuffed. I did not expect that at all. It was sort of like, oh my god. And when the safety car came out, that was a bonus, to be honest. I want to say unlucky to, was it Daredevil and the Aston Martin?
Deluxey.
Deluxey, sorry, that was, yeah, Deluxey and the Aston Martin. Unlucky to him because I was settling for P3. But when I saw him spin, it was like, wow, like P2. So, but SUFC as well, GG's to you, mate. But yeah, I did not expect that. Did not expect that whatsoever. Oh, I'm just like shaking right now. Really shaking still. Oh, good start to the season though. I'll definitely take P2.
Absolutely, I love that. You pretty much answered all my questions. I was going to ask you about the safety car and all that. It came at pretty much a perfect time for yourself.
It was round about my pit area anyway. So you know, for it to come out at that point, it was like bonus. I was in P3 anyway, because obviously everyone else had pitted. So when it came out, I was like, bonus, I'll take it. Came out in P4. I had AFL behind me. I think it was AFL or in the McLaren. And yeah, I had him on the straights, but on the corners he couldn't catch me. And so yeah, if I got away from him, I was all right. But then I saw the Aston Martin coming up, catching me, and I was like, I ain't going to keep him behind me. So he gone, and like I said, once I saw him spin, like P2. So yeah, but I couldn't get anywhere near SUFC. So GG's, mate.
I think you've done our job for us there.
I'm a commentator, so you know what I know what it's like.
Lee, is there anything you want to add, mate?
I'm just asking. Next week in Brazil, is that a good track for you, or is that maybe?
Mate, I love Brazil. I love Brazil. I think I'm hoping. Honestly, I'm hoping for a top 5 finish on that one, especially if there's only 7 finishing.
Oh no, that's not to Monaco. That's not to the week after.
Monaco, I got that crossed over. But yeah, no, Brazil. I love Brazil. So yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping for a top 5 finish on that. Hopefully, touch wood, if things go okay.
Brilliant stuff. More action like that tonight again. Another one I don't think I'll speak to the last time. Last but not least, Marshall. I believe this isn't your first time in the podium. I think you're pretty much hitting a 50% podium success rate here in CRL, tailing off from last season. I suppose you'll be similar to Curly. You've seen Deluxey go through. You're thinking P4 is maybe the best I'm going to do. You must have been, I mean, it's not nice to say, but a little bit happy to see the Aston Martins facing the wrong way. But podium in the first race, good way to start the season. How are you feeling with that?
First off, Curly and SUFC, well done, boys, fantastic. You two deserved a podium, probably where I just got a bit lucky. So yeah, it's not been too bad of joining CRL. Yeah, like I said, it must be about 50% podium rate, but again, that's not due through to skill today. That was through to luck. Yeah, I mean, going into the last 2 laps, I think I was sitting in 7th. But just seeing, unfortunately, everybody kind of just losing traction or spinning ahead, trying to put pressure on AFL, who was in front. And Mark Wilson had a penalty, so I was just trying to stay within his 3 seconds as well. Putting loads of pressure on AFL, he ended up getting a 3-second penalty as well. So, but I didn't just want to take the position for 3 seconds, so I got him on the hairpin as well, just to bump me up a position as well. But also defending against Wabby. Wab Stappen was pushing me the whole way. I was doing my best not to make a mistake on those tyres, and terrible brakes. The brake temperatures are through the roof, and I was struggling on ABS with no ABS, to be honest.
Solid drive, no ABS. There's a lot of drivers higher up the tiers that don't even use that. I can speak for that on a personal level as well. So absolutely fair play for running with that. And yeah, I think you kind of summarise things pretty good with that. There was a lot of good battles there, a lot of good trains, some nice driving, some nice overtakes. It was an absolute pleasure to watch. Again, pretty much a similar question. Brazil next week. What's the outlook for that?
I'll be hoping for a safety car about the same time. I mean, I enjoy driving Brazil, but I'm not very good and fast at it. So yeah, I'll be honest, if I can get in the points and help my teammate Topher in our Ferrari team gain some points for Ferrari for the constructors, I'll be happy. But I think there's so many good drivers in this tier. I think they just got unlucky in parts today, and if they didn't get unlucky, I wouldn't be I'm sitting here talking to you.
To be honest, quickly before you go, I think this tier is so tight this season. I really do. The way it is, what I've seen tonight, I just think it's so balanced.
I would be from a head admin perspective. That is incredible tier. I think, in fact, I'd agree with you for every tier. Everybody just seems to got quicker. We've had a few guys join, especially at the top of tier 1, that are quicker. That makes tier 2, the top end of tier 2, become what was the old top end of tier 1, and vice versa, all the way down. But it's not as if the top end's going further and the bottom end's staying where it is. The tier 4 guys are improving just as much as the tier 1 guys, and it's all concertinaed together. There was some lap times here tonight in this and in tier 3 that I was thinking maybe I'm in the wrong tier. I should be a little bit further down than tier 2. So yeah, completely agree, and I'm really looking forward to commentating over this season alongside Lee. Lee, anything else to add to our free podium sitters before we round off for the night?
I mean, I doubt that'll be the last we'll be speaking about. I mean, the incredible race from everyone. I think everyone here deserved what they got, because, yeah, just great driving. And, yeah, but if this race hadn't shown you why you should join me and Scotty every week at 8:15 on a Monday, then I don't know what does, because, we are the best commentators in the league.
That's right. Great commentary as always, lads.
Yeah, GG's guys. I had it on while I was racing, and I'll watch it back later. So, yeah, GG's guys.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, and congratulations, like you said, to IR Marshall, WTL Curly, and SUFC, our podium sitters here tonight in China. That is all from myself and QR2 Leroy Lee. It's been an absolute pleasure having you alongside me for the season opener here tonight, and I'm looking forward to a long season sitting alongside you, joined on the Monday nights as we go from the cold winter into what is hopefully a glorious summer as the season in real F1 gets underway as we progress. Make sure, though, to tune back on Thursday night. Tier 2, Tier 1 takes to the streets. Well, not really the streets, but the circuits of Shanghai. There's be interesting action on that. Defending champion of Wouter is joined by the reigning Tier 2 champion of Carl in Tier 1, alongside a bunch of new faces that are pretty quick. And then, of course, you can see Lee battling out in there and maybe causing a safety car. Who even knows what you might get up to. Tier 2, of course, you can join me and so watch me make a safety car, because that is just about a guarantee. Probably about lap 4. I would tune in and watch that happen. But, of course, we've got our brilliant commentary teams of, I believe it is Jamie Morris, and I'm not quite sure his co-com is at the moment. And then, of course, Jonathan and Bunnies in Tier 2, so make to give them lots of love. I've been CRL Freefall, joined by the lovely QRT Lee. Lee, I'll give you the last word before we signed off.
Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you all very much, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.